Liam was a bright and kind-hearted 8-year-old boy. He loved spending time with his father, Mr. Anderson, who was very rich and successful. Mr. Anderson owned many companies and lived in a big house with everything a person could want. But Liam didn't care much about money or toys. What he liked the most was to walk in the park with his dad and watch people and animals. One sunny afternoon, Mr. Anderson and Liam decided to go to the city park. The park was full of trees, flowers, and paths where people could walk or ride bikes. There were benches where old people sat and children played on the swings and slides. Liam loved to watch the pigeons and squirrels run around. Sometimes, he even fed the birds with small pieces of bread. As they walked, Liam held his father's hand tightly. He looked happy but curious. Mr. Anderson was busy on his phone, checking some business messages. He trusted Liam to walk beside him and enjoy the day. Liam looked around and saw many people, families, joggers, street performers, and some people sitting quietly on benches. But one man caught Liam's attention more than anyone else. The man was sitting on the ground near a tree. He looked tired and worn out. His clothes were old and dirty. His hair was messy, and his face had lines that told stories of hard days and long nights. He held a small paper cup, but there was no money inside. He looked hungry, but he didn't ask anyone for help. He just watched the people pass by, almost invisible to the busy crowd. Liam felt a sudden feeling in his heart. He stopped walking and looked up at his father. "Dad," he said softly, "can I buy a hot dog for that man?" Liam pointed to the homeless man sitting on the ground. His voice was full of hope, but also a little nervous because he was not sure what his father would say. Mr. Anderson looked at the man too. He saw him for the first time that day. In his busy life, he had not noticed the people who struggled around him. He was used to seeing the city from tall buildings and fancy restaurants. This man was far from those places. Liam, Mr. Anderson said carefully, "Why do you want to buy a hot dog for him?" He wanted to understand why his son cared so much about a stranger. "Because he looks hungry. And I think he is sad," Liam replied. "I want to help him, even if it's just a little. Be a hot dog will make him happy for a moment." Mr. Anderson smiled quietly. He admired Liam's kindness. Sometimes he forgot what it was like to care about small things. He agreed. "'Kay, Liam, let's buy him a hot dog." They walked to a nearby hot dog stand. The vendor was friendly and cheerful. Liam chose a hot dog with ketchup and mustard. Mr. Anderson paid for it and gave the hot dog to Liam. His son's eyes were bright with excitement. Together, they walked back to the man sitting by the tree. Liam held the hot dog carefully and walked up to him. The man looked at Liam with surprise. No one had ever come close to talk to him or bring him food. "Hello," Liam said shyly. "I brought this for you. I hope you like it." The man's face slowly changed. He smiled a little and said, "Thank you, young man. That is very kind of you." Liam sat down on the grass nearby and watched the man eat. He felt happy inside, like he had done something important. Mr. Anderson stood a little away, watching his son and the man. He felt a strange feeling too, a mix of pride and sadness. "Do you want some water?" Liam asked, looking into the man's tired eyes. "Yes, please," the man replied softly. Mr. Anderson quickly bought a bottle of water and gave it to Liam, who then gave it to the man. The man drank slowly, enjoying the simple gift. Liam and his father stayed with the man for a few minutes. Liam asked his father, "Dad, why do some people not have homes or food? Why do they sit alone like that?" Mr. Anderson thought for a moment. He did not have a clear answer. He said, "Sometimes life can be very hard. People can lose their jobs, their families, or their homes. It can happen to anyone." Liam looked worried. "But what can we do to help them?" he asked. Mr. Anderson smiled at his son's caring heart. "Well, small things like what you did today can make a difference. Kindness is powerful." And the man finished his hot dog and water. He stood up slowly and looked at Liam and Mr. Anderson. "Thank you again," he said. "You have made my day better." Liam waved goodbye, feeling proud. Mr. Anderson took his son's hand again and said, "Let's keep walking, Liam." As they walked away, Mr. Anderson could not stop thinking about the man. Who was he? How did he end up here? Could he help more? Liam looked up at his father and smiled. Dad, can we come back here tomorrow and bring him something again? Mr. Anderson nodded. Yes, son, we will. That simple question, can I buy a hot dog for that man? Changed everything that day. It opened Mr. Anderson's eyes too. A world he had not seen clearly before. It was the beginning of a journey that would change their lives forever. The next day, Liam woke up early with excitement. He wanted to see the man again and bring him some food.
Oh.
He told his father, Mr. Anderson, about his plan while they ate breakfast together. Mr. Anderson smiled and agreed to take Liam back too. The park, when they arrived, Liam's eyes quickly searched for the man. Near the same tree where he had sat the day before, the man was there again. This time he looked a little cleaner, but still tired. His clothes were worn and his face showed the same sadness. Liam held his father's hand tightly and walked over to the man. Hello, Liam said happily. I brought you some food again. The man looked surprised but smiled warmly. You are very kind, young man. Thank you. Mr. Anderson watched quietly from a short distance. He saw how Liam's small act of kindness made a big difference. The man's eyes brightened when he spoke with Liam, and the sadness in his face softened just a little. Liam gave the man a sandwich and a bottle of water. The man accepted the food gratefully and started to eat slowly. Liam sat down on the grass nearby, and they started to talk gently. Can I ask you your name? Liam asked politely. The man paused and looked down. My name is Joe, he said. Quietly, why do you live here in the park? Liam asked, his voice full of curiosity. Joe looked at Liam with a mix of sadness and hope. I don't really have a home right now, he said. I lost my job and then some bad things happened in my family. I had nowhere to go. Liam's eyes grew wide. That's very sad. I wish things were better for you.
Oh.
Joe smiled faintly. Thank you, Liam. Your kindness helps me feel better. Mr. Anderson came closer now, wanting to join the conversation. Joe, can you tell me more about yourself? What kind of work did you do before? Joe looked surprised that the rich man was interested in his story. He nodded slowly. I was a carpenter. I made furniture and fixed houses. I loved my work. But then the company I worked for closed. I couldn't find another job. Things got harder. Mr. Anderson listened carefully. He had never thought about how someone like Joe could lose everything so quickly. He wondered how many people were going through the same struggle without anyone noticing. Liam asked, Do you have family? Joe's face changed. I have a son. He is grown now. But we lost touch after I lost my home. I hope one day we can be close again. Mr. Anderson felt a strong feeling in his chest. He realized that Joe was more than just a homeless man. He was a person with hopes, dreams, and a family, just like him and Liam. They talked for a while longer. Liam asked Joe about his favorite things, his memories, and the work he loved. Joe shared stories about making beautiful chairs and tables, and how happy he was when he was with his family. Mr. Anderson watched his son with wonder. Liam's gentle questions brought a smile to Joe's face. It was as if the small boy's kindness was healing some invisible pain. As the sun started to set, Mr. Anderson said, Joe, I want to help you. I don't know how yet, but I want to. Joe looked at him with surprise. Thank you, sir. It means a lot to me. Liam smiled and said, See, Dad? Helping people feels good, Mr. Anderson agreed. It does, Liam. It really does. Over the next few days, Mr. Anderson began to visit the park more often. He talked with Joe, listened to his stories, and learned about his life. He also talked with volunteers at the nearby homeless shelter. They told him about many people like Joe people who lost their way, but wanted a chance to start again. One day, Mr. Anderson invited Joe to have a meal with him at a small restaurant nearby. Joe was nervous, but accepted the invitation. It was the first time in a long while that Joe sat in a warm place and ate a good meal with company. During the meal, Mr. Anderson asked Joe about his skills and dreams. Joe spoke about wanting to work again, to earn an honest living, and maybe to fix houses like he used to. Mr. Anderson thought hard. He realized that many people just needed a little help to get back on their feet. He began to plan how he could use his resources to help Joe and others. Meanwhile, Liam continued to bring food and water to Joe. Sometimes they played simple games, and Liam made Joe laugh with his jokes. The friendship between the boy and the man grew stronger every day. One afternoon, Joe shared a story that touched both Liam and Mr. Anderson deeply. He told them about a special chair he had made for his son years ago. It was a beautiful wooden chair, carved with care and love. He said it was the last gift he gave before life changed for the worse. Liam listened quietly. "Maybe one day you can make another chair for your son," he said softly. Joe smiled with hope. "Maybe I will, Liam. Maybe I will."
Mr. Anderson
Realized that Joe's story was more than about furniture. It was about family, love, and second chances. He decided that he wanted to do more than just give food. He wanted to give Joe a new start. The days passed, and the bond between the three grew stronger. Mr. Anderson's view of the world was changing. He saw that wealth was not just about money, but about helping others. He felt proud of Liam for teaching him this lesson. One evening, as the sun went down, Mr. Anderson turned to Liam and said, "Hey, son, you have a big heart. You helped me see things I never noticed before. Thank you." Liam smiled and hugged his father. "I just want everyone to be happy, Dad." Mr. Anderson nodded. "We will try to make that happen." That day, they all felt hope. Joe felt hope for a better future. Liam felt joy in helping. Mr. Anderson felt a new purpose. The simple question Liam asked, "Can I buy a hot dog for that man?" It started a journey that none of them expected. It was the beginning of a story about kindness, understanding, and new beginnings. After spending several days with Joe, Mr. Anderson became more curious about the man's life. He wanted to understand everything he could, so he could help in the best way possible. One morning, after taking Liam to school, Mr. Anderson decided to visit the homeless shelter near the park where Joe sometimes stayed. The shelter was a modest building, filled with volunteers and people who needed help. It was a place where people could find food, a bed for the night, sometimes advice on how to rebuild their lives. Mr. Anderson was greeted warmly by the staff, who were happy to talk to him about their work. He asked them about Joe and about the other men and women who stayed there. The volunteers told him many stories. Some people lost their jobs and homes because of illness. Others had family troubles or problems with money. Some were veterans who had served their country but now struggled to live. Mr. Anderson listened carefully. He was surprised to learn how many people ended up homeless not because they were lazy or bad, but because life had been very hard to them. The shelter staff told him that many people wanted to work and live a normal life, but just needed a chance. One volunteer showed Mr. Anderson some photos of people who had successfully rebuilt their lives with the help of the shelter. They found jobs, moved into apartments, and even reunited with their families. It was a slow process, but the shelter was proud of every small success. Feeling inspired, Mr. Anderson asked if Joe had any special skills or training that could help him find work. The volunteer smiled and said Joe was known for his carpentry. "Skills. He used to be very good with wood," she said. "He made furniture and fixed things. If someone could give him a chance, he could do great." This information made Mr. Anderson think deeply. He remembered Joe telling him about the beautiful chair he had made for his son. It was clear that Joe had pride in his work and wanted to be helpful again. Later that day, Mr. Anderson called his assistant and arranged a meeting with the manager of one of his construction companies. He explained Joe's situation and asked if there was any way they could offer him a job, even a small one. The manager was surprised but agreed to meet Joe and see what could be done. Mr. Anderson arranged for Joe to come to the office the next one. When Joe arrived, he was nervous but hopeful. He had not been in an office for a long time. The manager greeted him kindly and asked about his experience. Joe explained his work history, the challenges he had faced, and his desire to start fresh. The manager saw the honesty in Joe's eyes and the skills he still had. He offered Joe a temporary job helping with simple tasks on a construction site. It was not a big job, but it was a start. Joe was overjoyed. He thanked the manager and promised to do his best. Mr. Anderson smiled proudly. This was the first real step toward a new life for Joe. Meanwhile, Liam continued to visit the park every day. He and Joe had become good friends. Liam enjoyed hearing Joe's stories about making furniture and the things he loved to do. Joe enjoyed Liam's company, and the hope that the boy's kindness brought. One afternoon, Liam asked Joe, "Do you think you will see your son again someday?" Joe looked thoughtful. "I hope so, Liam. I want to make things right. I want to be a good father again." Liam smiled gently. "Maybe your son will see how hard you are trying and be proud." Joe's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Liam. You are a very special boy." As Joe began working, his life slowly started to change. He woke up earlier, dressed neatly, and went to the job site with a new purpose. The work was hard, but he felt useful again. The other workers noticed his skills and kindness. They began to respect him. Mr. Anderson visited the site sometimes to check on Joe. He saw the change in the man's attitude and health. Joe looked stronger and happier. Mr. Anderson felt grateful that he could help at home. Liam was proud of Joe, too. He told his mother about the man's progress and how he was working hard. His mother smiled and said Liam had a big heart. One day, Mr. Anderson invited Joe to dinner at his home. It was a special occasion. He wanted Joe to feel welcomed and to show him that people cared. Joe arrived with clean clothes and a hopeful heart. The house was big and beautiful, filled with warmth. Liam ran to greet him, and the three of them sat together at the table. During dinner, they talked about dreams and plans. Joe shared that he wanted to save money to find a small place to live. He wanted to repair the chair he made for his son and give it to him as a gift. Mr. Anderson listened and said, "Joe, I want to help you with those dreams. You deserve a chance to rebuild your life." Joe felt tears of joy. He never imagined that someone like Mr. Anderson would care so much. Over the next few weeks, Mr. Anderson helped Joe find a small apartment near the city. He also arranged for tools and materials so Joe could start making furniture again. Worked hard and slowly built a small business. Liam continued to visit Joe and help him with simple tasks. Their friendship was a bright spot in both their lives. One day, Joe called his son. They talked for the first time in years. Joe told him about the work he was doing and his hope to see him soon. The son was moved and promised to visit. Mr. Anderson watched all this and felt proud of the journey that started with a simple hot dog and a kind boy's question. He realized that sometimes people need only a small chance and a little kindness to change their lives. Joe's story was a powerful lesson in hope, compassion, and the power of seeing others as human beings. As days turned into weeks, Joe's life began to change in many ways. The small apartment he moved into was humble but clean, and it gave him a fresh start. He was no longer the man sitting quietly on the park bench. Now he had a purpose. Morning, he woke up early, ready to work on his carpentry projects. The tools Mr. Anderson had given him allowed Joe to do what he loved most: create beautiful furniture with his own hands. Liam continued to visit Joe often. Their friendship grew stronger with every visit. Sometimes, Liam would help by handing Joe small tools or even carrying wood. Joe loved to teach Liam how to use simple tools safely. They laughed and shared stories, building a bond that went beyond age. One day, Liam asked Joe, "Can I help you make the chair for your son?" Smiled warmly. "I would like that very much, Liam. It will be a special chair." Working together, they carved, sanded, and painted the wood. Joe told Liam stories about the first chair he made and how his son had loved it. Liam listened carefully, feeling proud to be part of something so meaningful. Meanwhile, Mr. Anderson continued to support Joe quietly, visited the apartment, sometimes bringing groceries or checking to see if Joe needed anything. He also talked with his business team about ways to help more people like Joe, people who had skills and hope but just needed a chance. One afternoon, Mr. Anderson invited Joe to his office. He wanted to talk about something important. Joe felt a little nervous but hopeful. "Joe," Mr. Anderson said kindly, "I have been thinking a lot about your story. I want to help you more. How would you feel about a permanent job with my company?" Joe's eyes widened. "I would be honored, sir." "Thank you." Mr. Anderson smiled. "You have shown great skill and hard work. I want you to be part of our team." Joe felt a deep gratitude. This was more than just a job. It was a chance to rebuild his life fully. With the new job, Joe's confidence grew. He worked alongside skilled carpenters and builders, learning new techniques and sharing his experience. His colleagues respected him, and Joe felt like he belonged again. At home, Liam's family noticed the change in their son too. Liam was happier, more confident, and always talking about Joe and their projects. His mother said, "Liam, you have taught us all the meaning of kindness." One evening, Joe shared a letter he had written but never sent. It was to his son. Joe wanted to explain everything, how hard life had been, but how he was trying. To make things better, Liam read the letter and said, "Joe, your son will understand. He will see how much you care." Joe hoped so. He wanted to heal the distance between them. A few weeks later, Joe's son came to visit. It was a quiet but emotional reunion. We talked about the past, about mistakes, and about hope for the future. Joe showed his son the chair he had been working on with Liam's help. It was beautiful, smooth wood, carefully carved, painted with bright colors. It was more than a chair. It was a symbol of love and second chances. The son smiled and said, "Thank you, Dad. This means a lot to me." For Joe, this moment was a dream come true. He felt that his life was on the right path again. Mr. Anderson watched these moments with pride. He realized that helping Joe was not just an act of charity, but a journey of learning for himself and his family. He saw the power of kindness and the importance of giving people a chance to show their true worth. Inspired by Joe's story, Mr. Anderson started a foundation to help others like him. The foundation focused on giving skills, training, job opportunities, and housing assistance to people struggling with homelessness. Liam was part of this new mission too. He helped by raising awareness and encouraging others to be kind in small ways every day. One afternoon as they walked in the park, Liam asked his father, "Dad, do you think we can help many more people like Joe?" Mr. Anderson smiled and said, "Yes, son, we will try our best. Every small act of kindness can make a big difference." Liam nodded happily. "I'm glad we bought that hot dog for Joe." Mr. Anderson laughed softly. "Me too, Liam. That hot dog started something amazing." As the sun set, they continued walking, hopeful and determined. The journey that began with a boy's simple question had changed many lives, including their own. Liam and his father, Mr. Anderson, had come a long way since that day in the park when Liam asked, "Dad, can I buy a hot dog for that man?" What started as a small act of kindness had blossomed into something much greater. Joe's life had transformed from one of hardship and loneliness to hope and new beginnings. The story of their friendship was just beginning to inspire many others. Joe's small apartment was now filled with warmth and the sounds of busy hands at work. The chair he had started with Liam's help was finished. It was a beautiful piece of furniture, smooth and strong, painted with bright colors. This chair was special because it symbolized Joe's journey, a journey back to his son, to work, and to life itself. When Joe's son came to visit again, the two shared stories and memories. Joe told his son about the struggles he had faced, but also about the people who had helped him along the way. Liam was there too, listening quietly and feeling proud that his small idea of buying a hot dog had led to such a powerful change. Joe's son smiled and said, "Dad, I'm proud of you. I know things were hard, but you didn't give up. I want us to be close again." Joe felt a warmth in his heart that he had missed for many years. He promised to keep working hard and to be the father his son deserved. Mr. Anderson's support never stopped, continued to provide Joe with work, and helped him with supplies for his carpentry. But more than that, Mr. Anderson started a foundation to help others like Joe, people who had lost their way but wanted to start again. Foundation offered training, jobs, and homes to those in need. Liam was excited to be part of this mission. He visited schools and community centers to tell others about the importance of kindness and helping people. His story inspired many children and adults to look around and see who might need a little help. One day, Mr. Anderson and Liam visited the park where it all began. They saw many people, some with homes, some without. Liam held his father's hand and said, "Dad, we helped Joe, but there are many more like him." Mr. Anderson nodded. "Yes, son." And together, We will keep helping as many as we can." Liam smiled and said, "It all started with a hot dog." They laughed softly. That small question from a boy had opened their eyes to the power of kindness. The foundation grew. It helped dozens of people find jobs, homes, and hope. Mr. Anderson's company hired more people who needed a second chance. Joe became a mentor. For others, teaching carpentry and sharing his story. Liam's kindness had sparked a movement, one where small acts could change lives. People began to understand that behind every person who seemed lost, there was a story waiting to be heard. Years passed, and Joe's life was filled with joy and purpose. He repaired the chair he made long ago and gave it to his son as a symbol of love and healing. Liam continued to grow up with a big heart, always ready to help. Mr. Anderson often told people about the lesson he learned from his son, that money alone is not enough to make the world better. What mattered most was kindness, compassion, seeing people as human beings. The simple act of buying a hot dog for a man in need had changed their lives forever. It showed that even the smallest kindness can start a ripple of hope and love that reaches far beyond what anyone can imagine. And so, their story became a reminder to everyone, no matter who you are or how small your action might seem, you can make a difference in someone's life. The end.